Some of the Black leaders that I know, people that are friends, are like, you see that man went out there for y'all people. That man is from Spain. Those are
European. Oh, that's why. Yeah.
And Goya, all those companies, they exploit Latinos that are, poor. They're working in those factories. They're not taking care of them. They are not speaking on our behalf. They are there in the corporate interest. So when people say the Goya man was there, he wasn't there for Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. He's there on behalf of corporate interests. He's Spanish. He is a white man who speaks Spanish. Those are our colonizers. So stop associating us with them, because they don't treat us well.
I'm a little confused. So some of the Dominicans, they get real mad when you say, you have African blood and all this other shit. Some Puerto Ricans, but so now you got this Spanish dude that really doesn't see you as the same. So what are you guys doing? Now you're mad. Now, right. Which is good. Latinos are boycotting, but I'm like, okay, you're boycotting him because of what? Because what? But I thought
they were criticizing him because he was licking Donald Trump's balls. But there have been people that are Puerto Rican and Dominican and Cuban who've been boycotting Goya for years. Nobody was listening to them.
Oh, okay.
National attention. Now a lot of people jump on the bandwagon and are like, oh yeah, we'll jump on the bandwagon now.
So
because
you're not white. So you're not white. Okay.
No.
Here we go.
No. There are some white Latinos though, and they are part of the problem. Like we cannot ignore that there are a lot of white Latinos who employ racism. I mean, Puerto Rico imploded. The Black Lives Matter movement in Puerto Rico took a guillotine to the governor's office because they were like, we are tired of being treated like this here.
Right on.
And in the Dominican Republic too, you know what I mean? Like, it's like really, really a big problem in Latin America because they mistreat indigenous people and they treat the African people, which we're Afro-Indigenous. And that is not a lie. That is 100% true. And there's a lot of motherfuckers walking around saying, I have pure Castilian blood. I'm Castellano. And I'm like, not to them.
And as he's canning the beans in his assembly line.
And exactly, because they look at us like, I don't think people understand, like, Spanish is not our native tongue either. Like, we were colonized in Spanish. Like for Puerto Rico, the Tainos and the African, like my family, my grandmother's grandmother was a slave. So they spoke an African tongue and they spoke Arawak, which is the native tongue of the Tainos of Puerto Rico, of Borinquen, because Puerto Rico was called Borinquen. That's why we say Boricua. When it was colonized, they named it Puerto Rico, which means rich port. But there's still a lot of Latin people who self-hate and want to identify with their colonizers. It's like Black people in America saying, well, my grandmother was white. And it's like, we are all just a product of who raped our great-great-great-grandparents. Like, for real, we just all messed up. So when you hear people saying that, they act like, oh, I'm Spanish. Spaniards are Europeans. They're not Latinos. They're Hispanic because they speak Spanish. Right. Brazilians, who we like to ostracize a lot of times, and we like to erase the Black ones, are Latinos. Haitians are Afro-Latinos because they're from Hispaniola. And we have to claim all of our people, right? But that colonization runs deep, right? Like, it's like when the brown paper bag shit with Black people in America. We cannot act like that infection does not exist in Latin America, because we shit on indigenous and Black people.
And we all eat plantains, so sit the fuck down. We're all connected by a big ass yellow banana, fuckers.
You stupid ass.
Plátano, plantain, Maduro, you go to all them countries, you see that fucking banana sit there sizzling in that pot, you like, oh yeah, African ass, sit down.
You know what's funny is that they in Spanish, it is an insult to call somebody an Indian because they have made Latinos feel shame for their indigenous blood. And I always say it's the greatest mindfuck of all time because they made us hate the glorious people of our past, African kings and queens, the native kings and queens. they erased that history and they only started telling us about us after slavery, after colonization and being conquered. We begin at them capturing us, but they don't tell us about what came before us. So you got motherfuckers walking around saying, I'm not Indian, I'm Castilian. You know, I'm Castellano. I'm like, that's a language, dumbass. That ain't. And they walking around trying to talk like a king who had a speech impediment. When like,
yeah,
that's
vale, fee. That's a lisp. You fuck. My Spanish teacher in college was from Spain. So when he was like this, vale, Madrid. I was like, what's wrong with your tongue?
It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, he was like, vale, fee. I was like, what's wrong? She's like, oh, I'm from Madrid, from España. I was like, oh shit, what's the tongue thing? My teacher was from Spain in college, like for a Spanish class.
You turn on TV on Telemundo or Univision, when you see the black people in Spanish, they the maid, the butler, they shining shoes. It's like, yo, it's an indoctrination. The way they covered the Black Lives Matter marches and George Floyd's murder and lynching was horrific. It was horrific when I tell you. And so you got these motherfuckers walking around. So when people say to us, like, to me, they'd be like, why you go in? I'm like, because I gotta check my people, just like you be checking black people and you be like, yo, you can't do this, you self-hating black person. That shit is the same in Spanish. It's a bunch of motherfuckers walking around here black as fuck saying they not black. And you looking at them like, you did the impression. You know how they do it, say it.
I know black. Dominican, I know black. Nunca, I know black. Dominican, no black. I know black. No. I know black. No. Negro. No.
Imagínate. This is so funny that you sound, so I was about to speak to you in Spanish because you sound just like one of them. And I was like, imagine.
I know black. Imposible, no es lo mismo. No, look, this Spain. This from Spain. This from Spain. See how long? It's long like that. See, that means like Spanish, like this. See my hair? Spanish. See, like that. No Africa. Africano, no. This is Spain. Madrid. This Madrid. This like this. See that? It's straight. See, that's Spanish. My grandmother, abuelito, was a blanco. You see, Europa. See that? Like that? See? You can see. Look close. Look, see? That's Spain. That's Spain.